Hi class, so I just finished watching our extra credit assignment, God Bless America, and my overall thoughts on this film. It was a very dark humor comedy film, which I thought was very funny. Um, I think what the filmmaker's narrative is trying to interrogate in terms of today's world is basically just showing how people can be against um, other people's thoughts and points of view with government or with whatever is going around in the country, and how they can take it very personal. Why do I feel this way? Simply because in the film, Frank was just fed up with what he was seeing on TV. He was fed up with what other people's beliefs were. He was fed up with how people would, what people he would come across with throughout the film, or throughout his life in this case. And we saw that because he went around and killed so many people he did not agree with. And in that way, and throughout that film, we saw that he met this girl who, I don't know who was crazier, if it was her or him, because, they were both crazy, let's be honest. But it was kind of funny. Why does Frank say in the end, "You are a pretty girl"? I think this is because she expressed to him towards the end how she just wanted to be different, how she wanted a little bit of chaos in her life. She came from a normal family, and she wanted to escape the normal life she had. And she was just a crazy bitch. And I think that before, towards the end, when he said "you are a pretty girl," he knew they were gonna get shot and that they were gonna be killed by police. So that was basically his last words to her, to make her feel better, and to just, I think, in my opinion, to make her feel that somehow she became important into his life. How do I feel the violence has a point to it? As a matter of fact, I don't commend violence, and I don't think violence is the answer in real life. But talking about the film, I think it just pointed out the point that the filmmakers wanted to prove was with violence was that they stood with a certain point of view, and if you didn't believe it, you were gonna be killed. You were gonna be, if you came across in their path, they were gonna get rid of you. If they did not agree with the same thoughts that you had, they were gonna get rid of you. If they did not like you, they were gonna get rid of you. So that was the whole point of the violence in the film. What made me laugh? I think what made me laugh was probably when they were shopping in the store, and the girl tells him, "Are you gay?" And then, well, she tells him, "Do you have a girlfriend or a wife?" Something like that. And then he said, "I'm not gonna answer that." And then she said, "Are you gay? Because I think you're gay." I thought that was super funny. Coming from a gay man. I just thought that was super funny. How does this relate to humanities? On a serious note now, I think this actually relates a lot to humanities. While I don't believe violence is the answer to try and change and to prove your points of views, I think it happens a lot. And recently we saw it with in this case, Charlie Kirk's, assassination. And it just comes to show how sad it is that people don't agree with your beliefs and are not willing to have a conversation with you and have a debate and talk about politics, different thoughts, different points of views. And in this case, in this film, we clearly saw it with Frank and his friend, how they wouldn't have any debates. They would just get rid of anybody who came through their way and their paths, and anybody who didn't believe the same way they did. And one example of that was like in the movies, when they were watching a movie, you saw a group of teenagers in the back sitting and talking to them, except one young girl, and everybody else was murdered by them, but except that girl for, you know, pretty much expressing or telling the truth to the media, saying that they were being noisy and that they were being loud, and that's why her group of friends were murdered. While that might not be the answer to, or the correct way to address something, she basically said the truth, and we saw that by Frank's reaction when they were seeing the news. They realized that she was basically saying the truth. And I think this relates to humanities a lot. I think that people end up killing each other for having different points of views, or end up hating each other for believing or being in a certain political party. And I think that's probably the saddest thing that is going on with our country right now, is how we're not uniting as a nation, as society, and picking what's best for America. So I believe the title was the best title, because God definitely needs to bless America right now. Other than that, it was a good movie. I definitely enjoyed it. Definitely for somebody who is an adult, it should be rated R. Especially with the inappropriate language and with all the assassinations and whatnot that you want to call it. But yeah, I would rate this film maybe like a 9 out of 10. I definitely enjoyed it. It was definitely different from any other film that we've watched. And yeah, those are my overall thoughts.